don't underprice your services at the end of the day. Accounting firms just historically suck at that.
Pricing, I think, solves 95% of issues.
Yeah, don't worry if the client's going to say no, because you will get yeses. Price it high,
or say
and
goodbye.
then the ones that...
Wow.
That was the best line that you had all day
Now
today.
I gotta write
awesome.
You're
that
welcome.
down.
Price it high. I'm writing that down.
May I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Accounting High. It's freshman year at a brand new school. Here, we have no rules in place as we're on a mission to set our own traditions. So hang tight and learn with us as we grow. At Accounting High, you can expect to gain knowledge in a completely different way than what you may be used to, with some fun and oftentimes colorful conversations. Whether you loved high school or you hated it, here's your chance to be a part of an unforgettable experience redone. While you're here, don't forget to follow us on Spotify or subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may be listening to us right now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And feel free to leave us a 5-star review letting us know how the school year is treating you. In addition, share this episode on social media, tagging us at Accounting High. So sit back, relax, and open your mind because class is in session.
I repeat, may I have your attention, please?
This is another public service announcement brought to you in part
By Accounting High,
the views and events expressed here are
of the next generation of accounting and tech professionals leading this space.
the events and suggestions are not to be taken lightly. Children should not partake in the listening
Of this podcast.
anything else.
Yeah.
So without further ado, introducing the star of our show.
Scott Scarano and Jason Ackerman.
We're gonna have a problem here.
Jason, who's our distinguished guest?
Jim Capparelli.
You know it.
JC.
All right.
But you're going to go by Jimmy here, right?
Mark
Jim.
it down.
Nice Italian.
And we
Nice Italian.
would you say we're best friends from Carbon X or?
Absolutely.
And okay,
Only the best of friends
But-
call me Jimmy, so you'd have to.
so first question is, you gave my brother some tickets to cash out. Did he pay you? Did that happen? Do we need to break his legs?
Oh, you're right. He did. I didn't hand him the tickets until the Venmo.
Oh,
hit
that's
the
right.
account.
You paid him like 90%. He took a 10% cut.
That's right. He had to take the vig.
So
But yeah, that was wild.
so you are co-owner? Is it you have another owner
Yep.
of a
Yep.
firm in
I
New
am
York?
Co-founder of my. That's right. Syracuse, New York, upstate, central.
And
New
we were
York.
talking at Carbon X, and something you said, you're like, I want to be on the pod. I'm like, no way this Tornet's going on the pod. But then you said something which I thought was cool.
Did you call him
Yeah, I made that
Hornet?
up. I'm in Miami now.
All right. Yeah, this is
The
Miami.
last
Ackerman,
person said I had
right?
a
He's got
Miami,
his full-on
Miami
buttons,
vibe going.
Chest
so.
hair coming out. Yeah.
Right. I think you got to take it one more button.
It's,
down.
it's literally the last button. I need to create a button. I would. But you said something cool at Carbon Edge. You're like, I want to like completely change tax season and taxes. Something along that line.
Absolutely.
And I was like,
You had him hooked
no,
with
you
taxes.
had me hooked with, I want to change taxes. I'm like, oh, that's...
You have me hooked when you said I want to be on the podcast. Anybody that says that is on immediately. Like, you want to be on? Sure.
So,
Yeah, I've been working on it exclusively for probably the past month or two now.
so
Making some good progress.
first of all, everyone should go check out Hiline. Is it just Hiline
Yes,
Accounting
sir.
or Hiline?
That's it.
Just Hiline.
Accounting Highline.
They have an awesome
today.
website. Probably the best accounting website I've ever seen. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. I already told him I'm copying.
It's one of the best. One of the best I've seen. I love the use of yellow. Just that not too many accounting firms
Yeah,
are
it's either
using
green
yellow
or blue.
these days,
That's
and
why we
that's
went
a-
with red. I was
That's
like,
unique.
I don't
yeah.
want green. Are you kidding me? What's the
Right.
color of Bitcoin? You know?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I love
We're trying.
I love everything.
Trying to be different.
your brand. So I guess let's start with changing tax season. What
right.
where did this come about? What are you thinking? What are you trying to do?
Go
Straight to the meat, baby.
I'm just fed up, you know. So what the straw that broke the camel's.
F's a
That's right.
blazing.
I've heard them plenty on this podcast, so I'm rolling with it, baby.
And you got the Italian,
That's right.
the
Let's go.
speak there too. Yeah, I
No,
like
it
it.
was just. I mean, I was already thinking about it, but this past tax season, like that was enough. So like, what really took place was that like finding good tax help these days, as I'm sure you know, is pretty much impossible. So I mean, we've struggled with it. I'm sure everybody else is. Everybody's looking, but we had this really awesome tax person. She was very tenured, very good. She was going to work on a part-time arrangement, 30, 40 hours a week during tax season. And like any other tax season hit the fan, she volunteered to work some extra hours, which I was inclined to say I'll take it, as I was trying to keep myself out of the day-to-day tax work over there. But sure enough, end of tax season, got the notice. She quit because she couldn't handle the stress, couldn't handle the extra hours, and now we've been left scrambling trying to find another tax person ever since. And if we had made this change before last tax season, she'd still be here today. And frankly, I've been starting to use it as a recruiting tool because I mean the next evolution of accountants, they're not down to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Like they're just not going to do it. So if we don't change, we're not going to have anybody left. I think I saw a stat the other day from the AICPA. 75% of the accountants in the industry are going to be gone in the next 5, 10 years, something like that. So we just got to be better because it's completely unnecessary to let the government dictate by these deadlines that they give us because they just want to get paid. So I'm just why are we letting the government dictate it when we can do it ourselves?
Jimmy, this sounds great. How are you doing it? Tell me how.
Well, here's the plan.
I love that. That's a great
So-
sound effect.
I love how he took a sip first before he went into it. That was baller right there. Yeah.
So I've been talking to some customers the last week or two as well, trying to get them warmed up to the idea and getting some feedback. I've been getting some good feedback, but so I'm gonna run it basically on a fiscal year basis where it's gonna start October 1st and it's gonna run until September 30th. That's how our tax year is now gonna run because that's when the tax planning kicks off is really on October 1st. That's really when the tax year should really start for our clients. So we kick off October 1st. We start the tax planning process. We're working through that. But as part of that tax planning process, we're going to completely outline the entire next year from them, from deadlines, paying their estimated tax payments. So we're gonna give them a plan basically by mid-December, right, of all of the tax planning strategies that we came up with. So we'll probably give it to them by the end of November, frankly, so we have time to execute on it. So we're going to tell them what, we're going to tell them how, what was the ROI, who's going to do it, and we're going to provide a roadmap for the complete next year so that filing a tax return by April 15th or March 15th becomes just a mere formality at that point. So like completely unnecessary.
An
Right.
afterthought.
Like we know if we did your tax planning, like that's going to be a prerequisite for you to be a customer now. Like we're going to do your tax planning for you and we're going to know for basically until September of next year, we're going to know exactly how much tax you're going to owe and your estimated tax payments and when all of that cash flow comes due. I mean, we take care of their accounting as well. We take care of cash flow forecasting for them, so it's all just going to fit in nicely. And when I was selling it to the customers that I did talk to this way, that I specifically chose a couple that are like, oh, I got to file by the April 15th deadline. I gotta. When you ask them why, they're just trying to check a box at the end of the day. So if we're giving them a plan, so we're going to give them a roadmap basically by the end of the tax planning session for the entire next year so we can get them comfortable. And and then we're also going to take some additional steps to take more work off their plate. Like we are going to now start paying everybody's estimated tax payments for them. So we're going to shoot them an email first of the month before those estimates are due. Hey, just want to let you know we're going to be paying 50 grand Fed, 10 New York coming up January 15th or June 15th, whatever. So that, again, taking more off their plate, providing that roadmap, providing that comfort. And when I put it to the customers that I interviewed that way, they're like, man, I don't give a then. Like, as long as as long as I know you're taking care of it, that's all I need to know. And I'm not going to be penalized for it. And, there was a question like, does it increase the audit risk? And, that's just an
Actually,
old
it
wives'
decreases
tale
the
that's
audit
out
risk
there.
the longer you wait to file.
There you go. So, like, there's really no downside to it.
Okay, so when you say give them the roadmap, how are you like physically giving them is it an email? Is it a PDF? Like, is there a format that you've done? Is it in Carbon? So is it a template? Like, what's the roadmap?
Yeah, I'm still working on how I want to deliver that. I'm probably going to work with our sales and marketing team. We have an outsourced designer that we have on retainer that'll probably help me build something nice. But I haven't quite figured that
You know
out.
what I did? I drew a physical road, and along the way there were pit stops.
Yeah, but that's all. That's
And
good for you because
it
you
was a
literally
racetrack.
need the
Ackerman used
road
to make
to
fun of
understand a
me, yeah.
roadmap.
No, it was more of a play on words. It was a play on the word, but Ackerman made fun of me for it. So if you do
No,
something
I like
creative,
it, but I kind of like
he's
it too
gonna
because
shit
then
on it.
you're kind of when you're doing the plan, you're then kind of creating your roadmap for the team too. And I'm guessing you're setting that all
Exactly.
up in Carbon, being like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." Blah 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 blah.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have templated work items set up for all that stuff. It'll be mwah. So yeah, I'm not messing around with that anymore. I started telling everybody all of the communications to new customers that sign up for our tax services are all going to be communicated the same thing. This is how we do it. You're going on extension. Here's why. And if you communicate that the right way, not going to be a problem.
Now, how are you? Are you changing your pricing at all? Are you getting rid of customers
Yeah.
that aren't going to fit this model? What are you doing?
Yeah. Scott and I were talking about this the other day.
Does Scott call you?
we basically,
Scott, how many people do you talk to? It's unbelievable. He's a connector.
We had a nice
Scott,
conversation.
Scott talks to everybody.
yes, I heard, and I was talking with Peter and Spencer from Tally4 the other day. They're like, oh yeah, Scott's a good man. They were
Peter's my
talking
boy.
very very
Did
nicely.
he
I'm
did he
well
bring up
liked
me,
in
Peter?
the community, Ackerman. Did you know that?
Peter
Oh,
did not.
you, Peter.
I love you,
I have
Peter.
to give him a hard time. Another plug.
But anyway,
Don't.
how are you
Don't
changing
even.
your pricing, your clients? What are you doing?
So basically, I mean, this all started probably a year and a half ago. So we stopped taking tax only clients, probably tax season of last year, and it was really so. From then on, if you want tax services, you have to sign up for accounting services. Once you're signed up for an accounting service package, you have the option for the HR and payroll. You have the option for tax to go along with that. So what we did though was obviously we had a plethora of extra tax only customers that were on the payroll, so to speak. So that summer, fall, we divested from probably about $250,000 worth of tax returns and moved on.
Divested
from that.
mean that
So
you sold them or you just fired them?
correct. Yeah. No, we sold them. So it was actually an ex-employee of ours that I actually trained up back in the day. Well, he was with Matt and I at our old firm, and then he came to work for us for a period of time. Was looking to start his own thing. It was a perfect match, and then he found a partner for that business as well. But we sold that off to him fall last year. Went really well, but we did not alleviate ourselves from all of the review. We had a book of business that was reviews and tax as well that we kept, and we thought we might be able to service it. But the way that our business is going, it was just extremely difficult to try to service that while you're trying to be a completely different business, completely different business model. Like you got to staff up to do reviewed financial statements and tax for that period of time. So, we recognized that was extremely difficult this past tax season. So we divested from the rest of that this summer as well, and just going all in on Hiline, outsourced accounting, HR, tax, and
Well, what's really interesting there is you don't like this is what a lot of the larger CPA firms are doing too. They're breaking out their attest, their audit departments into entirely different companies. But then you look at what you're left with, and you don't necessarily, like you're saying, 75% of the profession is going to be gone. You don't necessarily need a CPA to do the kind of work that your employee makeup. How many of them are CPAs right now?
That's a good question. I'd probably say half.
Okay.
Probably about.
Right. And if you were doing audit, you'd probably need 70, 80%
Right.
at least.
Yeah.
So, what is your basic prices for this type of service that you're giving?
Yeah, that's a good question. So are you talking about tax then? Just tax?
So let's just say I'm a typical small business that I want monthly.
But no, you're not a typical because you got to
Well,
be in their verticals. We didn't
I
get into
know.
that too. They've
We'll
got
get
clear
into that.
verticals. Let's say Ackerman's a
Yeah.
gamer. He's got a streamer
Let's say
channel.
I'm big on the Twitch.
He's making some good money.
I'm down here in Miami. I'm just playing Twitch all day, making $1 million. So I
There
need
you
somebody,
go.
and I don't know anything about accounting. I'm an idiot. So I need someone to every month reconcile my crazy transactions, do my tax return, give me tax advice.
Yeah. So we'd probably put you in probably about a $2,500 a month accounting package. That's a little, for somebody like that might seem like a little too much, but they really want a white glove service. At the end of the day, they really don't want, like you said, they really don't even want to talk about any of
Yeah.
it. So we'd probably put them in a $2,500 a month. We'd probably throw on payroll, HR and payroll, because they'll probably be
Oh
an
yeah.
S corp who will pay them reasonable salary, yada yada, and then we'll put them in a tax package. My tax prices aren't quite as aggressive as yours, Jason, but we would, so I'm actually working on, I was talking to Scott about the other day, we're working on finalizing the recurring revenue model for tax. Baseline for that is probably going to be about $600-700 per month. So about $7-8 grand for the year to include business return, individual tax
That's
planning,
good price.
paying your tax estimates for you, just being available. Things just come up all the time, and like 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and you don't want to ticky tack bill your clients like that. So we're just going to make sure we build it into the recurring model.
And that's not even doing any of the accounting or
Exactly.
Well, yeah. So
Right
he's
up
basically
work.
saying
Exactly.
2,500 plus 800 plus payroll, charging $4,000 a month for me. So 50K
Potentially.
a year. But I know I don't have to worry about jack.
Exactly. That's concierge.
So in order to get a client that isn't going to flinch at that, you need to create a funnel. You need to have a sales channel. You need to be marketing to them. So then when they do come, they're pretty much expecting it. Your prices are very transparent. I love that. Like on your site, you've got pretty much everything laid out. So there's no price questions or price, what's the word? There's no price objections by the time they come to
Right.
you. So tell us first, what are your verticals?
Our ideal customer would be, anybody in the gaming industry, content creators. That would be our go-to. But in addition to that, software and tech is really right up our alley. We're, average age of our employees is probably in the low 30s. We're all really young. We get it. We understand it. And we're very relatable. So anybody in that industry, SaaS, anybody building anything, like we have a huge EV company that's starting to really take off. But in addition to that, we do professional services. Digital marketing agencies are really good for us, and then, believe it or not, nonprofits. Nonprofits is actually a great customer for us. It fits well. There's a great value proposition there for what they need, and we can do it really well. So I'd say that's where we're focusing our efforts. We do have the sporadic restaurant here or there, but it's just like basically anybody with inventory just turns out to be a nightmare at the end of the day. So we can do it, but there's so much inefficiency in it, and it's just tough. Like they got to have an inventory manager on staff if we're going to take care of it. So yeah, we do e-commerce as well, but again, that gets into the inventory conversation. So it's got to be right. So we're probably going to take on one here pretty soon, just selling merch, but they have somebody on staff that's going to handle the inventory piece. So
That's physical inventory. So these digital content creators, they have digital inventory. That's nothing to really keep up with, right?
The biggest thing with the
Dope.
content creators or the gamers, same thing, is as they get bigger, there's they start signing more contracts with different sponsors. There's different payment terms. So keeping up with all of that for them, that's why you got to charge a little bit more, because it's never as cut and dry as, oh, they're just getting money from Twitch. There's contracts coming from all over the place. They're going into different states to do photo shoots or appearances, stuff like that. So it gets more complicated than you'd expect.
So when they're going into different states, are there taxable events? Are you doing different
that's
taxes?
taxable event, dog.
You filing returns
Come on.
for those states?
This is why Scott can't give tax advice.
Oh, it depends. No, it depends on the income, right? Like, do they have to hit a certain amount?
Not necessarily.
Depends on the state.
I mean, I think it's right. Every state's different, which is why, as we're going to have that base recurring revenue model for tax, but we're going to have add-ons to that, right? So like if you're multi-state, that's going to be an extra $100 a month to monitor that for you. So like the 600 is going to be like your one-man S corp that never leaves, that doesn't do anything. He's
So is
got
that
a physical
600 per
shop and
month or 600 per year?
600 per month for that baseline tax package that we talked about.
I got you.
And then if you have a second partner or a third partner, it's got to go up from there, right?
No, that's good.
Multi-state,
That's
gotta
good
go
pricing.
up.
Your website's not quite clear on that. It just says $600. But
That's all got to get it.
It's a month.
but I
that's all
like
gotta get
Scott
up.
was saying, I love how your website just alleviates, like, by the time you talk to someone who's interested, like, they're willing to pay, because they don't get that far until like they're willing to pay at least $2,000 a month, and those are the clients that you want.
Exactly.
You're not dealing with these little who want a $500, $600 tax return and want to ask you a million questions, and then they're like, but
Right.
I'm not going to pay $7,000, so go yourself. It's like,
Exactly.
just wasted all my time. I love that.
Right. If you're not willing to pay that, then that's not what we're looking for.
So as
Pay to
you're
play.
designing your team, I'm guessing you have a separate team that does the bookkeeping, controller, CFO stuff, and then you have a tax team. So how do you how do they communicate with each other? How do they work together?
Yeah, so Carbon helps, right? That comment
Sponsor.
feature alone.
Sponsor alert.
There you go. Just the comment feature alone helps there. But at the end of the day, so like we're structured. So we operate, and I heard you, Scott and Nicole, talking about this recently. Somebody was operating in pods. We operate in what we call squads, I guess you could say. That's right. So basically we have kind of a tiered approach. We have a controller level person, maybe a little higher than that, who kind of runs the squad. And then we have a couple client accounting managers, we call them, that are your assistant controller type kind of person. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, depends on their experience. But in addition to that, when we got 3 specialists, which are basically your bookkeeper level. So trying to leverage the model that way.
So you
But
have
then in
6
addition
people on a
to-
pod.
Well, we have 6 people in a pod, but we also for accounting,
Yeah.
and then we have tax and HR in that pod as well. And now the numbers don't work out great right now based on the size MRR that we're servicing. So tax and HR do service multiple squads, which is fine. Just the revenue just doesn't line up for there to be a 1-to-1 ratio right now. But so that way, each squad has what we like to call, the ability to work autonomously. So that we can work faster, so instead of going to, this was to alleviate kind of getting leadership out of the day to day. So now they have dedicated people to that squad. They meet, they have daily stand-ups. So that's one thing. That's one way for them all to connect together. They also have sprint planning sessions together. So we work in basically 2-week sprints or semi-monthly sprints where they plan their sprints out together, but then they have a sprint planning meeting to kick off. They do a sprint review at the end to basically see how they did, what went wrong, what went well. And so they really start to develop a good chemistry inside of those squads. And so they know exactly who their go-to person is when there's a tax question that comes up or there's an HR question comes up. It's immediately, boom, tag Jason over in HR, and
Fire him.
we're rocking it. Right? So that's how we operate currently.
So how many clients do you think, or I guess what's 2 questions? This is kind of the same question. How many clients do you think one of these pods can serve? And what's the gross revenue of the pod that you're trying to get to?
Number of clients is kind of hard to say. I mean, we could back into it, I guess, but it's really MRR driven currently.
So monthly
So
recurring
our
revenue.
goal-
So what's the what's the gross revenue you're trying to get?
For accounting alone, ideally it'd be 100K each.
For each pod.
We're struggling to get there right now. We've got a lot of operational efficiencies that we got to work on, but in order to be at about, what is it, 40, I think it was 45% GP, you got to be running at about 80K of MRR in order to make that work.
So you're trying to get to 1.2 million basically per year. 100K with 6 people.
squad.
You're paying them 600K roughly.
That would be ideal, yeah.
So I think that's probably what we struggle with the most is how it's the gross. I guess you should really just plan on gross. And then if they're not at gross, like why is that happening? Are you underpricing? Are they working too long?
Exactly.
Figure out what the deal
We're
is.
right. We have actually a 3-hour working session tomorrow morning to kind of do an offsite to kind of address that. We're just make some quick, maybe even drastic changes to how we operate, because it's just like you got to try something to increase the capacity of the team. Because right now it's good, but we're not moving the needle at all. So we're going to try some different stuff and see what sticks. Can't be afraid to fail.
Exactly. So tell us something that you tried that you failed at that you thought was going to work out.
For this or something, any
Something
time
in the
past.
firm, preferably not like a dating experience that went wrong.
Oh no. The one that stands out to me the most is we were a couple years in, and we had made a sizable investment in Salesforce. We had built out, and it worked, and I could show it to you guys sometime. But we basically built out. We were we were kind of ahead of our time. I think we were building out something like Carbon has.
You were like Bookkeeper 360. That's what they did.
Well, we were basically what we did.
They're in New York too.
We automated the tax process whereby in Salesforce, the idea was that at the end of the year, you'd be able to, you'd have all your tax products assigned to all your customers. You'd be able to press a button. It would automatically generate. It would kick over to PandaDoc. PandaDoc would send out all of the engagement letters. Once they signed them, they would automatically, it would kick back to Salesforce. Salesforce would see it. Salesforce would send out the individual tax return request list like immediately. And then from there was a walkthrough of, uploading their tax documents, yada, yada, yada. So the idea was as soon as January 2nd hit, you'd be able to press the button, and then you wouldn't have to do any follow-up. You wouldn't have to do any manual engagement letter stuff. And then we would get notified when the individual was done uploading all their documents and finishing their questionnaire. So worked out for a period of time, but it certainly wasn't perfect. And if you really want to take something like that to the next level, like Salesforce is not cheap.
Well, that's the problem. Is like you build it and it's awesome, but you have to pay someone all the time to manage it and keep it up and going, and that's where you get. Whereas like Carbon, it's not just
plug and play.
It's not just they're gonna update the system all the time and keep making it better. You're not having to pay someone to do that custom for you.
It's all pretty much there, though. I mean, it's maybe not plug and play, but it's all pretty much templatized, and you could pretty much start on Carbon and be up and running within a couple months.
So
yeah, so as far as the biggest mistake there, that wasn't even it. It was the first tax season that we had it. We charged a 10% admin fee on everybody's invoice after the fact. Didn't tell them about it. And you would have thought hell froze over. It was a show.
Well, that's managing expectations.
Right. Yeah, that was a big mess up. We kind of gave up on it halfway through tax season as far as charging it goes. Some people paid it, most didn't. And they basically were like, if you're going to do that, you should have just built it into my fee in the first place and called it a day. So basically what we did next year is, we increased prices a little bit to make sure to account for that, because it's not a cheap software, like I said. So trying to make up for it. But yeah, expectations, communication. It's the easiest way to off your customers.
So are you all fixed price agreements now? Do you still charge by the hour for anybody?
The only time, when we do consulting, we charge by the hour. So if they want to, say they want one of our base packages and they want to, they want some KPIs built out or something like that, but they don't want it to be in a recurring package, like we'll do that for them sometimes if it's just a small project, and we'll just bill by the hour. But outside of that, we try to, anytime they want additional services like that, the first question is how can we increase the price of their package to account for that additional value that we're going to be providing, the rest of the time. Like let's try to make, like, if you want KPIs, let's try to build that into a monthly package that, we can talk about it every month and go over it together, so that, that's where we're trying to move upstream with. That's where the VCFO services come in, right? So like when we were a younger company, a smaller company, that's what we really hung our hat on. So that was like when myself, my partner, a couple of our members of our leadership team were in the day-to-day, and we were able to provide that higher level VCFO type work, and clients loved it and they were willing to pay for it. But as we've gotten bigger, that's been like the hardest thing, that we haven't really been able to scale it that well yet. So we're really working on that right now, and finding the right tool to do it is kind of a big priority for us right now.
Yeah, that I think a CFO type person is the hardest person to find because I've been looking for one forever.
Well,
It's not even expensive. Well,
Yeah,
they're expensive and they're just hard to find. Like I think they're harder to find than tax people because it takes a
Yeah,
it's a lot of
what we
you got to be able to
what
think.
we've sold it right, right. What we've sold it as the VCFO offering is really a collective effort of all of our brains. Bringing in the the tax side of things, bringing in the HR side of things, bringing in your three levels of accountants that are on your team, and one of our members of leadership. I'd call him a borderline CFO already. So like he's pretty close. So like we have juice in the building. Like when we need to really bring somebody in, like my partner Matt or myself or Eric, there's juice there that on a fractional basis, that's really all you need. So have we thought about bringing in a CFO? Sure, but like you said, super expensive, and you know, not many need that on a consistent basis. So like how can we provide it on a fractional basis with a team effort, and can we systematize it a little bit? So like
Well, it's kind of this. It's
Product
kind of
wise.
similar with tax, like high level tax planning, like the basics. A controller, like a whatever the level of CPA with a tax controller can handle
Yeah.
95%, but then 5% you need that tax CFO type person to help
Ex-
you.
exactly, yeah, 100%.
Let's talk some hard numbers.
Hard numbers.
This is jingle. So, head count
30,
30 about.
Yeah.
Right. Owners,
2.
how much do you guys work, or how much time off do you guys take?
This year has been, we've made steady progress every year because it used to be crazy. But right now, we're probably working about 55 hours a week, I'd say. Just consistent year round, which I'm okay with.
Well, you said nobody wants to work 60 hours, so you're right under
That's
that.
right. That was my goal for the year, to get below that 60. So that's a win in my books.
I spend more than that on this podcast. Top line.
Oh, by the way, as far as time off, not enough. How about that?
How many times have you gone to the casino right down the street?
Not enough. Again, not enough. The only time I've been to a casino this year was probably Carbon X.
Oh, you were hanging out with my
And
brother
that
at the
was
roulette
like-
wheel.
That's right. I was watching.
It's dangerous.
He's quite impressive on the roulette wheel.
He's a gambler. He could be professional.
Yeah, that was impressive. But I got a couple vacations lined up this fall. Other than that, I make sure to take half day Fridays in the summertime to go golfing or do whatever, just to get some me time.
Next year at Carbon, you can play golf with us. When we leave for a whole day during the session, just to dick around.
I can't believe you did that without me. I know you didn't know me that well
Next
at
year.
the time, but come on.
He missed
Incline
he
Village.
missed my live podcast because he was out
very
playing golf.
difficult. Very difficult course. We'll play it next year.
All right, I like it. All right.
Top line.
All right, top line. So run rate, once we implement the tax recurring revenue model starting hopefully October 1st, we'll be at about 4 million.
Pretty respectable. I'm not going to ask bottom line because I don't think you're going to answer. Nobody answers
Let's
bottom
just
line.
say it's not great right now. I was telling you the other day, like we've got investments going around all over the place. We invested in a full-time.
Well, that's important to discuss too.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to say a number before those investments. That's what we need to make clear. Like, you got your gross profit, you got your expenses, your operating before you do.
Yeah.
People should really keep the books that way. I've always thought, like, I should be the accountant for accountants.
We've had some some of our customers.
You
Like
always
I
thought
should be
that?
the person who like I'm like markets. That should be the vertical. Like I'm gonna do the bookkeeping and taxes for accounting firms, and then like you know give KPIs.
There we go, listeners. For all of you listeners out there, Ackerman's got a new vertical:
I'm gonna start with Hiline.
taxes for accountants.
There you go.
I know your pricing.
Sign us up.
Who does your taxes?
$4,000 a month, you get it all, baby.
So let's talk about the investments, where you're investing the money, and well, first let's go before we talk about these investments. Roughly speaking, what's your take home?
You were gonna ask that, even though I told you I wasn't gonna tell you.
I know it. I always do.
I'll just
So,
say I
let's-
think it's fair and modest in what we do.
Now,
So-
are you scared because you don't want your employees to find out? I'm always curious as to why you don't want to say it.
Yeah, I think that's a little weird. I don't know. I don't
Why?
think it's
My employees know how much I
Do
make. They do. We share it. They see the financials.
Do they see all your like crazy like Mexican travel
They do.
peyote line? Is there a line for peyote in your books, or is that just like a
I don't think you're pronouncing it right, but I've never done peyote.
weed? Is there a weed line in there?
Most of my weed is paid with cash.
the dispensary is buried in office expense.
Yeah. Office expense. Supplies.
So like Scott was saying, what are you
Marketing.
investing the money on? What's the
R&D.
R&D you're doing? Not the weed
So
R&D.
we took one of
Well, all right, let's back up. So let's try to back into this. You got roughly X amount before you start investing, and now you're investing the money. How do you guys decide where you're going to be putting the money and what you're going to be taking home? Because you and Matt are what, 50-50? Roughly, like 50-50. So how do you guys determine what you're going to take home?
we basically do a forecast, for the next year. What are what's cash flow look like, and what can
Do you do that every quarter or do you do that once a year?
well, we reforecasted mid-year this year, but maybe twice a year. Quarterly is a little
What are
too
you
much.
using to do your forecast?
Right now, we're moving. So it was in Excel,
Google Sheets, Excel, yeah.
but we're moving into Basis. I think I was telling you about that a little bit.
Basis. Uh-huh.
So I haven't really gotten to delve into that too much as of yet, but Bebe over there actually just took our forecast and put it into her Basis software, and now I just got to find time to play around with it.
Sounds like Jay-Z's wife.
Bebe and Basis. No, they're an awesome team over there at Basis.
So has there been 6 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That y'all been doing this
Yep.
together? Have you guys had any fights or disagreements over money or anything?
Never over money. Usually just it's tax season, and he said something that pissed me off. But nothing bad.
No
Nothing,
resentment or
no,
anything?
nothing bad at all. Usually it's just like a quick little blow up, and then we reconcile the next day, and then all good.
Reconcile. No pun
Probably like
intended.
if that happened a handful of times, I'd be surprised. Like that's probably a lot, but we're a really good yin
So
and
how
yang.
do you
I'd say.
Yeah, there you go. So what are your strengths? Do you guys know your strengths? Have you guys done like the personality tests and stay in your lane?
I mean, so he came out of public accounting as he was a senior auditor, different personality. He's like he could sell ice to an Eskimo kind of guy. So he's kind of the face, like that's not something that I'm overly interested in at the end of the day. But he's a sales and marketing guy. He's CEO type personality, and I settled in nicely to the COO role as ops. Like I dig that
So
stuff.
Scott, he's like you, and
not-
I'm like Jimmy.
There you go. Yeah, so like it actually worked out really nicely because like I'm not interested in doing the sales and marketing side and being that top level CEO, and he's not interested in really digging in on ops and and figuring out all that stuff. Plus, like it'd be really hard for him anyways, because as an auditor, you know, you don't really have any tax experience.
Yeah, you have no skills.
As a tax count, you still have accounting skills,
Yeah.
right? And then by virtue of my background, I did have some payroll and HR skills as well. So being able to oversee all three verticals from an operational perspective was, again, right up my alley.
So who's got the vision for the future?
And that would be him. But I definitely have a lot of input in that regard, because that is something that interests me, especially there's just so many opportunities for additional service offerings down the road that would love to get into once we can really crush, you know, our current three verticals.
So what's the end game?
Well, I mean, the end game, it all depends. I'll tell you this. It all depends on if we're having fun or not. You know, if it's 3 years from now and we're not having fun, like, I'm going to want to get out. Right. But as long as we can build it the right way and our leadership team, you know, starts taking more and more off our plate, starts running the company, then I'm going to be happy and down to stick around. And
Down to stick around.
that's right. So
Pound the ground while you're at it.
So I'd say that's what it's really predicated on, which is why like this year, like I made a conscious effort to work a little bit less and have a little bit more fun, so that I'm not getting burnout at the end of the day.
Burnout. Have you experienced that?
I'd say I'm usually pretty close to it at the end of each tax season. So another reason to cut the baloney with tax season, because basically what happens is, you know, it gets to be crunch time and there's nobody else to basically come in and save the day, right? So that's where I got to come in, work nights, work weekends, whatever. And, you know, I got a young family, so I'm not trying to do that anymore. Like my kids are old enough now to be hanging on my arm while I'm doing tax returns on a Saturday afternoon, asking me why I got to work. They want to play.
So in my experience, I did it by pure ambition. Like, I wanted to do it. Nobody could tell me nothing. It wasn't like I have to go work. It was like, I'm going to go work. Like, and I never really resented it. And I always, like, you know, had something in mind. Like just, I was doing, I don't know. I needed somebody to tell me what I was doing wrong, because I thought I was doing everything right. And it wasn't until I got my head out of my own that I realized how much I was doing wrong. And I realized how burnt out I was, because then once I stopped, I haven't gone back yet. And things are going better than ever without me. Everybody can figure that out. All of our team, they know how to do stuff. Like, at what point did you realize that you weren't needed as much as you thought you were, maybe? Or maybe because you had a partner, that's different. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we have the same one, but we both have an executive coach. Yeah. So
tell me more about that.
So we've had Matt's had her for probably about 6 to 9 months longer than me, because he picked her up right at the end of 2020, was it? Something like that. But basically,
they had their business baby before you were in
I wanted to sign up, but I knew that tax season was going to be rough. So I delayed it until I could have my mind right.
Was it like a therapist? Like he was seeing her without you?
She is. I feel like she is half therapist, half executive coach.
That's what coaches are, right? Like business coaches and consulting. Like, a lot of times they've got to be able to bridge that gap, because a lot of business owners, they don't see a therapist. So they're letting a lot. I mean, they let it out on us a lot of times too, I'm sure. Actually, it's the reverse. If you go back and listen to Hard Numbers, there's definitely a therapy session for sure. You even claimed that you were my therapist. So, but yeah, like, you know, you need somebody that you could talk to and somebody that understands what you're going through too.
Exactly.
And so you guys are going to couples therapy, I guess. Is that what you're doing together, or are you doing it separately?
Separate sessions.
Yeah, so that's probably
kind of a smart
critical,
idea, is to do therapy for the owners.
That's
That
very
could be
smart,
what we
but you
do.
Just call it
That's
business
what
executive
business
coach.
No.
That already is
CPA
what we're gonna do.
therapist.
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
Therapist. There we go. Write it down. Write it down. Here's a pen. Here's a pen.
We don't need to write it down. The recording button's on.
This is a business
I'll
plan.
go back.
We just
I'll
did
hear this again before it's out. Yeah, just wait until this episode's released. We're already gonna have a website and everything. It's gonna be f***ing great. Just wait a few months when Ackerman actually starts doing some work. When he gets his head out of his own, we'll be going
up there
places
from Miami
with this thing. Just wait. I just know when you're ready. Like I'm very impressed by your work ethic when
Talking
you
about
actually
me?
do stuff. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm talking about you. He makes good product decisions. I told him this the other day too. I trust their judgment in almost every product I use. I think he was using first. He was using Zero. He was using Carbon. He was using Ignition. I think we used it around the same time. I might have had Ignition first. They were going to follow my lead on Dialpad, and then they went to Zoom. So I think I'm switching to Zoom.
So
Shout out to
I
Zoom.
just
Maybe
got to
they'll,
stay plugged in with Jason, so I'm on the
You hang out with
forefront of
me,
all the
baby?
technological
or take me at the trailing end because I'll have everything he does eventually too. Yeah.
Now
I'm the
have
cheaper
you,
version.
You were like on the fence on Carbon when we were there. You hadn't. Are you implementing it? What's happening there?
we did it for one of our squads as a beta test just to make sure that they were going to.
God, I love Squad. That's such a cool ass name.
There's a lot of things
So,
to copy
we-
from Hiline that I'm going to copy.
All right, well, we'll have to talk some more.
Well, first of all, the all lowercase.
That's a little
is-
old school. We used to do all
brilliant.
lowercase.
It's beautiful.
And I like it.
That's
I
man. I love all lowercase. I write my name in all lowercase.
I love
Always.
I love that you put the pricing on the website like high. I'm definitely 100% going to do that.
high.
High
and
line,
you're already
high,
going to expect
high,
a high
high,
price.
high.
Like that's even better than High Rock because you spelled it high like hello. Like that's so great. I want to spell accounting high with
There
HI.
you go.
That was what I was thinking about doing. I'm going to take off the GH. I'm just going to call it accounting high.
Boom.
So
Just make sure you don't try to trademark that on us. Somebody else did recently.
They tried to trademark High Line on you.
Theirs was called High. They have a retirement plan company, like a guideline.
yeah.
You guys know Guideline?
Yeah, I know Guideline.
It's a competitor of theirs called High Mark. And they literally,
Sounds like a competitor for Earmark.
yeah, they literally, their logo basically is exactly the same as ours. And they're filing a
So-
trademark for it.
Tell us.
Well, no.
Tell
How are you
us,
liking Carbon so far?
trademark for
do you
Highmark.
think it's gonna work?
Oh yeah, it was only a month beta test. Just wanted to make sure we were good. So we got the other two squads in there the following, basically, a month after we came back
Two
from Carbon.
squads. God, I love this. This is so.
Do they have different
time you
themes?
say
to
it, I like it
squads?
even
Is it
more.
like a Hogwarts situation?
Like color coded. Are they colors?
They are color coded with names.
Yeah. What are the names?
With names.
Let-
Would you have
let's
fun
hear
with the
it.
We've
names?
got green. We've got Green Thunder.
Ooh, this
We
is
could do
starting-
better.
starting
We could
off
do
with
better.
Green
Go
Thunder. I
on.
want to go. I
I
want to see
know.
where this goes. Yeah, I know. I could definitely give me a weekend with this, and I'll come up with some.
I
bad
would love
names.
for you to do that
Pretty cheesy.
because, like, when we originally launched the squads, I was like,
This is our consulting fee, Ackerman. People
Green
could hire me
Green
for
Thunder.
marketing
I mean,
stuff, dude.
we
I'm
that's a
we got
retarded
this.
pony
We got
coming up
this.
with that. We can do better than that.
yeah, I was pushing them to be a little more.
retarded ponies is a good name. Though.
Jeez.
Probably we'll have
And-
to check.
and what was
we'll have
the
to
other
check-
one? Donkeys?
Yeah,
Donkeys and what did you say earlier? Like who's this douche donkey?
we're gonna have to check with his HR team to see how retarded ponies works.
All right,
Yeah.
keep going, keep going.
Right,
Let's
yeah,
go. Green
that's-
Thunder. I like it. I
that's
dig
probably
it.
not gonna work for HR. But
Let's keep going.
Scott's
You
actually
gotta
writing
know
these
these
down,
off your
so
head. Come on,
this
this is
is
your
exciting.
teams. I am writing them down. Yeah.
the
This is the first thing I've written down all day. 2 episodes. You start talking about colors and you got my ears. Like I'm
you're
full.
you're not going to
full-blown,
be
I'm
overly
all in.
impressed with the other ones. Not that you were with Green.
No,
You've already like. Are you
Tell us.
setting
We're ready.
setting the bar low? All right, go. You gotta
The-
just fire them
The
off
Yellow
here.
Wolf Pack and Blue Lightning.
Thunder, lightning, wolf plat.
These
Okay.
are terrible.
They
Like, dude, really? So I'm working at this firm, and I gotta tell my like family that I'm in something that my boss calls a squad, and they call me Yellow Wolf Pack. Like, I don't even understand that. Are yellow wolves scared? Like, what's the the worst. I'm sorry. I'm usually nice on this. Like, this is
We're all
terrible.
friends. We're all carbon
Oh
friends.
man. Like, let me just come up with. All we have to do is come up with a synonym.
I think it needs to be
for
like
those.
Western New
And
York based.
it's got to alliterative. It's got to be alliterative too. Yeah.
You know, something to do with the firm.
You come with the substance, and I'm going to come with the flash. All right. Me and Ackerman will come back to you with some dope
I think the
ass names.
squads would
Yeah.
appreciate that. To be honest with you.
They
all struggle with it.
And see it. What I think you
We're
should
gonna
do.
anoint
and
them with
I
new
like
names.
really want to do this, and I've been trying to figure out a way how to do the squad thing. But I think you go like all out, like get him low-doed everything, like make him a team. You have like competitions, like make it fun.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, we just we're accountants at the end of the day, so we're not as creative as we could be. That's for sure.
You know, that's why you pay us the big bucks. You haven't paid us yet, but we'll send you an invoice.
Yeah. Yeah. I
right,
got
so-
some names. I got some ideas.
So when we're at
wait,
Carbon
we'll
X,
wait for that. TBD.
What's like, you know, you're talking with all these other accounting firms. What's like some of the things you were like, oh, that's a good idea. I want to go steal that.
There was a bunch of that. That was a great conference to go to.
That you're actually going to
and
implement.
obviously-
That you're actually like, I'm going to implement this.
Well,
Obviously, you met some of the greatest people in the world
Let's
there.
slow down.
All right.
Yellow lightning. So slow
I
down,
mean,
blue
some
lightning or
of.
whatever.
I mean, probably the
Is that what you're going to call me? Blue Lightning? I kind of like that, actually. I'll keep
there
that
you
one.
go.
Blue is my color.
So basically, it was probably the growth lab guys and some of the stuff they were doing.
You remind me of them. I was going to tell you that you remind me of Dan, or the way you guys operate is like Dan, like 5 years ago or 4 years ago.
Right.
Like, I'm saying, like, Dan is doing some cool things, some dope things, and like you guys are pretty much close to there. Like, it's in eye shot. For you.
Right. When we were talking to them, yeah, we were probably about a year or two behind where they are right now.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the technology automation stuff, awesome. Like, so we basically, about a month ago, we took one of our, we'll call him he's one of our more curious employees and technologically savvy. He was a specialist, and we pulled him out of that role. He was crushing that role, but like he was, he was better utilized elsewhere. So, we wanted to take advantage of his strengths, and so we split him out, and he's transitioning into the role, but he's going to be our technology automation, our first employee in that regard going forward. So that was probably one of the bigger things.
So I'll talk about this. So Dan has been doing that for my firm, right? And open book, they said, whatever automation you want, boom, like you got all wild cards, whatever you want to, whatever hand you want to play, that's cool. Because it's like this is an iterative process. They got to have a feedback loop. They got to learn, and I think it's awesome. But the first session that we had, we were struggling to come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the case with other firms too, where you even have a struggling figuring out what to automate?
It certainly isn't as obvious as you would think it would be.
Oh,
right?
I could think of a million things to
Let's
automate.
Automate a ton of but
All right. Well, give me some.
I just
If you
think,
can think
like,
of some,
half
tell
of
me
the-
some good ones. Because I'll tell you what we did. I'll tell you what we're doing. So we are automating the process of texting. All texts that go to clients and phone calls are recorded in Dialpad. You have a transcript, but there's no easy way to get them into Carbon. So they've automated the process with the API to import that from the actual conversation directly into Carbon. We had to create a unifying. It's a big process just to do something simple like that.
Unifying, like all the
I love
numbers
that.
have to be the same in Carbon, like same format.
Yeah, you got to have a unifying key for each client, and we had to create a database in a Google sheet and do that. The other thing we're doing is actually in Google Data Studio trying to recreate Carbon's analytics in the back door.
Can we talk
just using the APIs?
Carbon analytics? That was
10
such
grand.
a bull.
Oh,
No, they
10
sent us an
grand, dude? That
email
was like a
for
fucking
40
Apple
grand,
presentation, dude.
and we did a demo of it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is like literally worthless. Like we can just pull it up and work.
They used to
you
give
can
us that
get
in a
it, like,
spreadsheet.
it just doesn't.
Like they used to.
So dumb. They They needed.
So yeah.
I just love how they sent the invoice. They sent the
I loved
invoice
everything
during the
about Carbon X.
presentation.
We were saying how much we
It
love Carbon X.
was a
and I'm
DocuSign, like
getting
sign
excited
here
now
to
because I was
charge.
like,
We will charge you.
it was almost like this is based on our
Yeah.
previous conversation, and they did it for me too. But I think mine was like might have been 20. I don't even
Ours
remember.
was
It was
30.
No one's gonna use that unless they actually like it's built into the system. No one's gonna use it with Power BI. Like people don't. No one's gonna do that.
The way they rolled that out was just, it was
No,
it was an Apple
no,
commercial, dude. It was like, and one more thing.
No, they'll do a.
It was Steve up
they'll
there.
do a Harvard Business Law on how not to roll out a product. That'll be Carbon Analytics. Carbon
Well,
Intelligence.
no. I'll back it up though, because roughly, money aside, I said, I told this to them too, and they didn't want to. He didn't want to hear my feedback then, but I was like, dude, all you had to do was just change the price, and everybody's still going to pay it. Change the monthly price and give us more value for the monthly, and we're not going to leave. We're already slave to you guys, and not slave, but like I'm not going to pick up and move products.
No.
You're going to make more money, and then the really cheap firms, they're already like they're not using carbon anyway. Everybody says carbon's too expensive, so just raise our price and give us that data.
Right.
Like I'll pay another, I don't know, $50 an employee if you give us the data. I think they can make more money doing that than trying to sell that for 10
Well,
grand.
they could sell for 10 grand if it was good.
Or whatever
It's
it is.
just not good. You sell shit.
It's not that good, but
Yeah, well, when
it'll get good. But
when it
carbon
gets
usually
good-
doesn't do that.
Yeah, they normally
Carbon
give it to
usually
you for
doesn't-
free, and then like
I felt like I was I felt like I couldn't critique it while I was there in person because I was afraid of anything. Like Ackerman, you should have said something though, during there. You usually
I should
want to
middle
talk.
of the presentation.
Like,
I
you
should
should
have been
say,
like,
"This is- dude,
question.
should
This
say,
is
what the-
retarded,
You're the
and you
emperor's
need
new
to
clothes.
like.
You're like the
this
kid.
is you need to just stop the presentation and rethink it.
You're like the kid in Emperor's New Clothes. That you're like the kid that says, "You're not wearing any clothes on," and everybody else feels open to say something like, "What the f- is Dan and them doing talking about their employees?" Like I don't know what they were going into, but when Dan went up there and they were just like they went on and on about this lady's sex life or something. They were like, I don't know what they were talking about. She went going to a wedding and they started talking about her. Nothing to do with carbon, but I don't know what they were looking at. I'm
Anyway,
sorry. was
here's
just
what I would
kinda
automate.
excited.
Like there's
You guys gotta tone
there's
it
a ton
down.
of stuff
Yeah.
in bookkeeping that's not automated still. Like
Oh,
basically
100%.
everything on the balance sheet that's not a bank statement needs to be automated. So I would like there's a lot of and then I think client communication, like Carbon does a lot of that with client tasks, but there needs to
They
be a
could
way
just
to
sit-
take
like
like
we've always
I
said,
want to take the practice ignition
text.
product, roll it over, change the price, send it to the client once they sign. Kind of what you did in Salesforce, that automation. Like I'd automate that whole process.
What about where a client can
Yes,
view the
I'd love
status?
to do.
Can they do that
I've been
now?
pushing for that.
Just
I've been
Domino's.
pushing that.
Just
I've
the
literally been
Domino's
pushing
pizza.
that for zero
So
zero
you know what
to
you
do
should
that.
push? You should push an integration with Zoom so the text
Yeah,
can pull
I
in.
know, that's what I
and then I'll
want.
just use Zoom. Like Dialpad. So Dialpad, now we got to pay another $10 a person just to get that automation to work. And I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm too cheap.
You just said you'd
That's
pay
like-
$50
that's a
more a
lot.
month for
$10 a
Carbon.
person
I'd pay
just to-
$10 for.
I said I'm under ransom for Carbon and I'd have no choice. Like when Apple comes out with $550 headphones, I go and buy them because I've got no choice. I have to use Apple products. I'm stuck in the Carbon bubble and I will pay whatever they tell me I have to, but I'm not going to add anything on voluntarily. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
having
That's if it's not a good product.
Having
yeah.
the status update available for the customers to see is a slippery slope. Like
No, but just
I did
generic.
that.
I'd like to have a generic.
Or you can choose it. You can flip it on or off.
Right.
Like that's an easy thing
I
to
built
do.
it inside of that Salesforce platform before, and what would happen is they would see it. They would see that you haven't changed it from documents sent to in preparation or whatever, and then they'd be emailing you about
See,
that.
I
instead.
would just
why hasn't my tax?
See, no,
Yeah,
I
but
would.
then you
I
gotta
would
have
just
somebody
have
that
a
keeps
one
up with that.
status that was just like preparing, and then I'd have a bunch of statuses for like waiting.
Yeah, you
like,
keep it simple.
waiting for signature.
Waiting for
e-file,
signature.
accepted, e-file. Like I could have a bunch of statuses there.
E-file accepted, e-file
Yeah, I don't
rejected.
want a million things. I don't want them all the steps that we have.
So we have that now. Every step that we have, the most like process-oriented ones are the after it's done, right? Like in tax, well, we're on ultra tax, but like we have to manually match up those statuses in carbon and in ultra tax
Yeah,
because there's
we do
no
the same
integration
thing.
there. Like that's another one. That's something that we could try to automate, but that's because we can't, because our tax softwares are ironclads. And so what do we think about this? Like what do you use for tax software?
UltraTax.
UltraTax, yeah. I love UltraTax. Great product. Everything's great. But I'm not going to use Practice CS.
No. No.
Did you like? And what the is Onvio?
Onvio is their cloud product that sucks.
Don't even get me started.
It doesn't exist. It's a phantom product. They have had advertisement for that for like 8 years, and it's
Yeah.
never been a thing. It's never really been anything different.
I was beta testing that 5 years ago, and it.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh
It-
man,
it-
that was
All
smoke and
right.
mirrors. That was the
I'm
definition
sure,
of vaporware.
I'm sure Jimmy needs to go.
All right, yeah, I think we're going
So,
off. This is the
yeah,
best part of
it
the
goes wild.
conversation, though.
This is where we
where
go wild.
I got-
Wild time.
I got 20 minutes.
All right. So other than the tax changing system, which I think is incredible, I think everyone should do that, and I'll probably copy that too. So what else are you guys working at the firm that you're excited about, that you're going to roll out in the next year or so?
I mean, from an operations perspective, it would be that basis product, rolling that out to everybody, hopefully. I mean, what's great about that product is we're basically like doing pilot programs with them to, and we have a direct line to the co-founders as to what we like, what we don't like. So they're literally changing their product based on our feedback on a weekly basis so that we can have the functionality that we really need to be able to offer that higher level of service, creeping up into that VCFO type level service. So that would probably be the most exciting thing currently. But I mean, in addition to that, like we're investing in the people function a lot. Like we have a chief people officer. So we made early investments in leadership. So we have that, and we're also, outsourcing the people design house, who's helping us build out career frameworks and really trying to take that people function to the next level. Because, as it currently stands, we were fine running around with our heads cut off for a couple of years, but now that we're scaling, like we need to have that stuff all built out and ready to go and showing a path forward for all of our employees to continue to want to stay here. If we don't do that, they're going to think that they're going to be stagnant for the rest of their careers, and most of them don't want that. They're pretty aspirational, and we want to be able to build that for them.
I love that. Okay, give us one, if you're a firm owner, give us one piece of advice for firm owners out there. Your best piece of advice. As the firm,
Best
as
piece
the
of
firm
advice. I
therapy.
was just getting started. Are we already on advice
Jimmy
now?
he might have something else to do. I don't know.
Nobody has anything more important than recording their episode on our podcast. That is like the highlight of his month right now.
I just
have to.
Yeah.
I just have to pick up my daughter in 45 minutes. That's all.
45
She
minutes.
could, like,
Oof,
you
that's
could
a
be late
punting.
for a couple
Now,
hours,
We're taking
though,
this to the goal line.
She'll be fine.
Couple hours.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter?
6.
She'll
6?
forget about it in 2 years. It's fine.
That's and how many kids you got?
3.
3 kids. Yeah. I think we talked about this. What are the ages?
6, 3, and 2.
6, 3, and 2. And what's the mix?
Are they all
oldest is a
humans?
girl. The younger 2 are boys.
Ooh, 2 boys. 2 boys around the same age, too. That could get rowdy. That could get rowdy fast. Were you a rowdy child?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
When somebody played a loud noise and you were a kid, did you turn away or did you turn toward
Turn
it?
toward it.
Test your kids, and you will know 100% who they're going to be as they get older. My son runs toward it, and my daughter, both of them, they cower. They don't want to hear that noise. Like they totally turn away, and that translates through all ages so far.
Yeah.
So far, so good. My son, I know what to expect because I would run toward it too. I would run past it. Like I would put my ear right next to it just to see if it hurt.
I like it.
And Matt, I bet you Matt, was he run toward it?
For sure.
Okay. That's important. Ackerman, turn toward or
Loud
turn
noise.
away?
Definitely turn it
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
100%.
That's what I thought.
I'm an introvert.
I thought.
I'm not an extrovert.
That's what I thought.
When you like to party,
Yeah.
when you get to
He gets
Vegas and you
exhausted
like
after
to
these
party, I like to
episodes.
go to bed.
So that's the thing, though. I get
Yeah,
energy
so
from
you're an
other
extrovert.
Right.
That's
I get depressed. I get depressed when I'm home by myself after these trips. Like, I was depressed for a couple days. I went to Chicago, saw a bunch
Yeah,
of people.
that's 'cause
met
you're
some
an
people for the first
extrovert.
time. Fucking awesome. I loved it. I thrive off of that. Like, I feel
Yeah.
energized and happy. Like, that's
I'd rather
the,
be alone. I'd rather
that's
be
like a
alone.
burning.
I noticed that after that Carbon X dinner.
Well, you guys
did-
wanted to like go to a bar across the street. No, thank you.
Dude, I did go to bed too, though.
I
went to
I
bed
had
pretty
a
early
5-month-old
that
at
night
that
too.
time. Like, no, I'm going straight to bed.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually taking care of my sleep, though. This is public information too. I talk about this all the time. Like, I'm trying to get more sleep these days. I've ignored sleep most of my life, and I think I was thriving. Like, I felt even better than having to go to bed early. I don't like going to bed early, but
feel the same
if I get
way.
into the routine, I realize how much I need the sleep, though. Like, you get stuck in that matrix of. So once you start getting good sleep, it's like that's the drug,
Right.
and I'm chasing that too. Like, the way I feel to feel normal with sleep is
What do
different.
you
these days.
getting a night now?
8 hours.
Solid 8. Good for you.
8 hours every night. Some nights it's like 7:40. Some nights it's 9:20. Like, depending on if I can get to bed early. But yeah, I got an Aura ring, so I'm
Same.
paying attention to that. Yeah, I saw your Aura. So yeah, I mean, I started doing the Aura like late 2020,
Mhm.
and my life has changed for the better.
Yeah.
Like, now that I've been paying attention to that shit.
That's beautiful.
How's that HRV?
You know, HRV score. So, like, it was in the almost hundreds early days of using this. Now it's lower. Now it's like in the 70s, sometimes 80s. Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
It leveled out. I stopped taking a medication
Was
that I
it
used to take,
Ritalin?
and that's what dropped it. No, I do still take Ritalin. I still take Vyvanse, which is like Ritalin, but I stopped taking Klonopin. I was taking Klonopin for like 15 years, and then that me up, gone the other side of it. Like, it's still me up, man. My anxiety's like crazy. So I don't think we want to get into there. This is not therapy session that we
So
had
tell us,
in
I
mind.
know you have to go pick up your daughter. Maybe, I don't know. So give us the one piece of
You
advice.
act, you act like I wouldn't shoot the baloney with you guys for the next 4 hours if I had the time.
Listen, now that I know you're a golfer,
Well, is there
you
baloney
should
to
come
shoot?
down.
Like,
We'll go to Pinehurst. It's a business trip. We write the whole thing off.
so what schools did you guys go to? What school did you go to? We didn't get into that.
I went to Lemoyne College, which is a local.
Do they have a mascot? I bet you that they don't have a mascot. Like the Lime Lemoynes. I'm trying to come up with names here. Like
They were
Wolfpack is NC State, but that's red and black, and which I think that might be the color for Accounting High too. Like teaser, it might be a red and black, like my shirt. I've been drawn to that color lately. What do you think of those colors, by the way?
red and black.
Yeah, for the Accounting
Strong.
I
High,
mean,
like
if you want to be a loser,
dark
sure.
mode. Dark mode. Are you
I mean,
serious,
that's so
Ackman? You don't like that?
generic. Red and black.
Well, there'll be some spice to it. There'll be some spice. Sorry. That was so. Wolfpack is the NC State, right? So I'm thinking, if we go by the themes of schools, where did Matt go to school?
He went to Oswego.
What's a prominent? Oh, fuck. What is that? This is not like the last guest. He went to Duke, so we could go Blue Devils. Like, that's actually
this is
cool. You should do
digressed
Blue
hard.
Devils. Yeah, I'm coming back to the names. I'm back to the
Listen,
names
we'll
of the
brainstorm.
squads. Squadcast.
We'll brainstorm
Ooh,
it.
Squadcast.
That's an off-air thing.
All right.
We'll really do some deep
Right.
dives.
That is an off-air thing. Yeah.
Second
Sorry.
podcast to announce.
So Miami Jason
I'm
will
thinking of
come
the
up with it for
rivers
you.
that flow
Oh,
nearby.
man.
We can do things.
Yeah, we can make a lot with it. See, he's gonna come up with the steak, and I'm gonna sizzle it. I'm gonna make it pop. This is why we're a good dynamic duo.
I'm
Like,
gonna hold you to it. What's the time frame? When's the
I'd
deadline?
say
Oh, see, we got to set the expectation. So I'd never set a deadline, especially when I'm writing music, like when I'm writing these songs. Sometimes I think like it'll take me 2 months to finish, and then I finish it in a couple days, and then some I'm still working on. I'm still not done with. So this is a creative process. Then we can't set expectations, but we'll have it to you.
By Carbon X.
Yeah, by the next Carbon X. Nah, dude, I want to try to get to you in a couple days.
You just said you don't give timelines, and you just gave one. I love it.
You should do Ninja Turtles.
But there's only 4.
So the red one.
You have to be able to.
Yeah, and Ninja Turtles aren't yellow or green. Like but they're not yellow or green. They are green.
This is why you literally can't.
You should do Game of Thrones houses.
Again,
so
that's
like
a limited number of houses.
I propose Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes. Now that would be cool. There's like 12 of those.
I got crickets.
And you could like kind of make up ones like.
Yeah, I don't know
like
that
the
either.
silver snakes.
I don't know.
But
that,
you could
no.
like kind of make up your own ones there, because you could have like.
I can't believe Ackerman knows this. Like you both know this, and I've never even heard
got
of
high.
it. Am I supposed to know this?
Time in middle school and probably missed it, but
it was on Nickelodeon, I believe.
Oh yeah, that was scary. Like when the guy would come out and like that was scary.
Yep, the fog would roll out.
The Agger Crack. Was that one?
Yeah, now I feel kind of left out.
Is that a different one? Anyway, okay, tell us a piece of advice.
I did watch Nickelodeon. I used to watch that. I wasn't getting high in middle school. I had friends that were getting high in middle school. I was not. I was like good boy up until like 9th grade, maybe. High school. That's when it all went downhill.
One piece of advice for accounting firms.
I mean, it's such a overused one, but like, don't underprice your services at the end of the day. That's accounting firms just historically suck at that, right? So
when in
that
doubt,
would be my
price
advice.
high. We were talking about that with the last client. Pricing, I think, solves 95% of issues.
Yeah, don't worry if the client's going to say no, because you will get yeses. Price it high,
or say
and
goodbye.
then the ones that.
Wow,
that was the best line that you had all day
now
today.
I gotta write.
You're
that
welcome.
down.
Price it high. I'm writing that down. That was the end of that period. Price it high, or say goodbye.
All right, Jimmy, James.
Thanks, Jimmy.
It's been an honor.
JC.
You have a standing
We'll call him
invite to come play
JC.
golf in North Carolina anytime.
All right.
Yeah, come play with us. We haven't played in a while.
I can only play golf.
We'll go to Tobacco Road.
Scott once a year because he makes me pay. He owes me. Just be prepared to pay for Scott.
yeah,
He won't
that's
bring
right, I
his.
did.
He won't bring his wallet. He won't bring his.
Somebody's
wallet.
gonna pay for me, or we can play at my club, and I'll cover you. Play at my club for free, or somebody pays.
Where
for
are
me.
you at, Scott?
Briar Creek.
He's by
the
in
airport.
Raleigh.
Oh, okay.
Raleigh.
I'm
You're
in
both
Charlotte.
North Carolina.
So
Yeah, Ackerman got an eagle on the first
Yeah.
hole on my
Get
course.
then it was
hell out
straight
of here.
downhill.
First time he
I
played it.
Made like a 75
First
yard
time he
shot.
played it.
And
It was beautiful.
That's when you. That's
It
when
was
you
a-
walk
yeah,
off
I know. I
the
was
course
like, it's
before
literally
the
straight
Costanza.
downhill from here.
Yeah, I've experienced a lot of eagles with
I also
my
chipped
partners.
in
I
at
have never
Pinehurst
had
number
one.
2 for a 2.
I've experienced a lot of
I
them.
made a shot from a bunker.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
played on COVID day. That was our COVID day. We went on April 20th, 420.
That's my.
Wasn't it
that's
420?
No, it was
birthday, by the
April.
way, Scott.
Oh,
No,
cheers.
we actually
Cheers.
went on April
What a champion.
16th.
You'd like
we went
that.
the day after Tax Day.
I do like that. Yeah.
But anyway,
It was-
you're invited
It was 16th. Yeah,
anytime
sorry.
you want. Bye, James. This was amazing.
He's out
All
there.
right.